Hey everyone, I'm Adam Dede and welcome to Neurojournal Club. Now, if you have been watching my videos before, you'll know that it's been a little while since I posted, and I apologize for the hiatus, but I'm currently stranded in a hotel in Nepal, so hopefully over the course of the next couple months, I'll be able to increase my posting frequency to I'm shooting for 2 videos per week. So hopefully we'll be able to get into some really cool discussions about meditation, neuroscience, the interaction between the two, what is the mind, what is consciousness, do we have free will? Definitely we won't be able to answer any of these questions, but maybe we can take a stab at it. Now, I hope all of you are managing to stay safe during this COVID-19 pandemic and stay inside and watch my videos. So one thing that I will ask, as I am stranded in this hotel in Nepal right now, if you could please help support me by clicking my Patreon link below, and if you can pitch in maybe $3 or $5 a month to help keep these videos coming and keep me fed here in my hotel room. Cool. So what are we going to talk about today? So today we're going to be asking the question, can meditation improve your attention? And now you might well ask, why are we going to talk about attention when really meditation is about ending human suffering, getting over cravings, getting over aversions, and finding some kind of deep inner peace? It's not about becoming limitless or superhuman or learning all kinds of Jedi mind tricks or being able to levitate. It's about inner peace. The problem is, though, how do you measure inner peace? Let's take this woman here as she looks out on the beautiful landscape in meditation. Is she experiencing inner peace? Maybe. Or maybe she's just wasting time with her eyes shut and it would be better to just open them and appreciate the view. So we end up having to focus on things that aren't necessarily the things that we actually want to focus on sometimes in science, simply because we can measure them. So that then brings us to another question. Okay, I say that we can measure attention. Psychology's been measuring attention for a long time, but how can we measure attention and how can we use that measurement of attention to look at meditation? So enter the attentional blink. So this has nothing to do with your eyes. The attentional blink is all about how sometimes you have the experience of something happens right in front of you, your eyes are open, no blinking, but yet you don't see it. In case you might have zoned out and missed that, sometimes things happen right in front of you and our attention just blinks. So what does attentional blink look like in the lab? So today I'm going to be telling you about a study by Leeuwen, Muller, and Melloni from 2009. And in this study, participants were presented with a rapid serial visual presentation of letters and numbers in the middle of a computer screen. And what this looked like was at the beginning of each trial, the participant saw a plus sign in the middle of the screen. This plus sign gave them something to orient their attention to so that they would be focused. Then they saw a stream of letters presented 1 letter per 1/10 of a second, or 100 milliseconds, so really, really fast. And then somewhere embedded within that stream of letters, there would be a number printed in red. And this number printed in red was deemed T1, or target 1. And the participant's job was to try and remember this target so that they could say what that target was at the end of the trial. After T1, there was another series of letters, and there would be somewhere between 1 and 7 letters, and then there would be a second number. And this second number was designated T2. And now importantly, the participant's job was equally to try and remember both T1 and T2. And then there'd be a couple of letters to finish up the trial, and that's it. Then the letters and numbers would stop, and the participant would have to try and report, okay, what was the first number, what was the second number? Okay, so that's a lot of information I just threw at you. Let's take a look at what a trial like this actually looks like. So what you're going to see is initially you'll have a little plus sign in the middle of the screen. Try to focus your gaze on that and keep your eyes open. Then there's going to be an extremely fast burst of letters and numbers, and your job is to ignore all the letters and just try to remember what are the numbers. Okay, here we go. Whoa, that was crazy fast. Did you manage to catch that first number? How about the second number? Not even convinced they were both there? Okay, let's watch it again, but a little bit slower. Okay, how about now? Did you see that 5 in there? And how about the 6? Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple of trials. I won't talk at full speed, you just give it a go. All right, cool. Hopefully you guys can appreciate that over time and doing a bunch of these trials, people would start to adjust to the speed and kind of be able to do it. But it's never going to be an easy task. So let's take a look at how Leeuwen et al. Managed to study this. So now turning back to the Leeuwen, Muller, and Melloni study from 2009, who did they study? Who to study? So they had three groups of participants in this study. They had meditators who had been meditating for anywhere between 1 and 30 years, so pretty heterogeneous group, and the average age of that group was 49. Then they had a group of young controls, and the mean age here was 24. Now, importantly, this group had just never meditated before, so total novices to any kind of meditation practice. And then they had old controls, who were on average 50 years old, and they, like the young controls, had never meditated before. So how did these participants fare on this attentional blink? So first, in identifying the first number, everybody rocked it. So what we're looking at here in this graph, on the y-axis is percent correct, and on the x-axis is the lag. So that separation between the first number and the second number. So it does seem that participants are a little bit worse if the second number comes at lag 1. You could imagine maybe there's a little bit of interference in remembering the first number when it's immediately followed by that second number. But overall, what we're seeing here, everybody's rocking it. Everybody's up here 90+% all the way across the board. Looks great. So now, what about the second number? People really fall off the wagon here when we look at their performance on the second number. And what you can see is that both the young group and the old group, the young group here in blue and the old group in yellow, they do pretty well at identifying that second number when it comes immediately after the first number. But if it comes the second number, or the second position after the first number, then you can see there's this dramatic fall off in their performance. And although the young participants seem to bounce back, and by the time we're out at the fourth or the fifth position after the first number, they're doing pretty well. But the old participants, they stay down for a long time. It's kind of like the old participants can really only focus on remembering just that first number, and trying to add a second number in there is just too much if it comes anything further than immediately after that first number. Now, there's a lot of stuff to unpack. Like, why would it be that you can see the second number when it's immediately after the first number? That seems like it would actually be the hardest position when it's just immediately after. And why is it that we get this bounce back? How does that occur? And why do old people seem to have less of a bounce back than young people? So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's going to be a little bit beyond the scope of this video to try and get into all those questions, but they are super interesting, so hopefully we'll be coming back to them later. But I think the question that we're all going to be asking right now is, what about the meditators? How did they do? So what we can see here is that the meditators, they do show this attentional blink a little bit. They do have a drop from that first item after the first number to the second item, from that lag 1 to lag 2. But it's not anywhere near as precipitous as we see with the young and the old participants. Something's going on with these meditators such that their minds don't blink, or at least they don't blink in the same way that the non-meditators' minds seem to blink. And this is especially interesting when we think about the fact that these meditators are relatively old. You know, they're outperforming people here that are half their age. And the classic dogma is that cognitive flexibility and cognitive speed all slow and go away as we get older, yet these meditators seem to be bucking that trend. Okay, so let's draw a couple of conclusions. So first, it's really interesting to think about how the meditators got better at something that they didn't train for. So these meditators are sitting with their eyes closed, you know, they're focusing on their breath, they're focusing on sensations of their body, there are different types of meditation that they practiced, but the point is they were never trying to practice looking at letters and numbers flashed super fast on a computer screen. That was never one of their goals, yet they got better at it anyway. Another interesting thing is that this effect is really basic. So this is something that's happening in the first milliseconds of viewing a stimulus. It suggests that the meditation is somehow changing the way these meditators are interacting with the world on a very moment-by-moment basis. It's not some kind of high change of view, it's really a difference in the way that they perceive the visual world in its immediacy. And that's a really interesting thing. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, this seems to suggest that meditation may offer some protection against the effects of aging. It is really interesting to see that the meditators were dramatically outperforming a group of participants half their age, and the group of participants that were age matched to them were just completely falling on their face. So maybe meditation could offer a relatively pain-free avenue to protecting us against aging, which would be super cool. But as with any scientific study, we always have to think about the limitations before we get too excited. So the meditators weren't randomly assigned, and this is a big problem with all studies of meditation, a big problem that plagues the field in general. If you don't randomly assign people to a meditation condition, how do you know that any effects that you see are because of the meditation versus because maybe just the type of person that's interested in practicing meditation is also the type of person who doesn't have much in the way of an attentional blink? Now, of course, this gets extra challenging when you consider that maybe the effects of meditation might take a long time to show up, and you can't very well randomly assign someone to practice meditation for 10 years. Now, this is something that the field continues to struggle with, and as we make more videos here, it's something that we'll be able to talk about a little bit more. Now, another big problem here was that the meditation group had variable meditation practices. So some of them practiced Zazen, some of them practiced other types of meditation, and they all had a variable amount of time that they had spent meditating. So at the least 1 year of meditation practice, and at the most 30 years of meditation practice. So you'd like to see some of these variables held a little bit more tightly under control. And then it'd be really nice to measure over time. So even if you can't randomly assign people, you can look at the same individuals at multiple points in time as a function of how much meditation they do and see, do you get an amount of improvement that seems to be correlated with the amount of meditation that the participants are doing? And if you do, it gives you a little bit better evidence that maybe the meditation is actually causing those changes. Anyway, that's the video for today. I hope you liked it. Keep in mind those main take-home points. Meditators got better at something they didn't even train for, and it's a really basic effect. It's changing their moment-to-moment interaction with the environment, and meditation might protect against aging. Hopefully we'll get a chance to explore all of these topics and more in future videos, but in the meantime, please like, subscribe, and if you're feeling up to it, click on the Patreon link below to support me here in Nepal. Thank you. Have a good day.